The story of the movie starts with a person named Mykola. Mykola is a math and physics teacher in a Ukrainian school. And in the morning Mykola goes to school and says goodbye to his wife, Nastia. And his wife is pregnant and close to giving birth. Mykola and Nastia lived in a rural town, away from the city noise. And they were in this village and there is no one near them. Mykola goes to school by bicycle, and then he arrives at the school and enters the teacher's room. He hears the news that there are occupying forces that have begun to enter Ukraine, and that the Ukrainian president fled the country with his family. And the occupying forces began to control the areas and kill the people in these areas. Here we see Mykola in the classroom teaching the students. Mykola was a very diligent teacher. He was keen to teach the students well. Now we get to know one of the students whose name is Ivan. Ivan was a lazy student who had no interest in his studies. Most of the time he harasses Mykola. He is also a rebellious student and hates Mykola very much. On the second day, as usual, we see Mykola as he goes to school. But on the way, he sees occupying forces close to the area where he lives. But he did not care about them and goes to school. When he arrives at the school, he is surprised that the school has no one. And he was the only one in the school. He saw on the news that the occupying forces had started the attack by seizing the popular places of the population. Mykola remembers the soldiers he saw in the morning, so he goes home to check on his wife. Because she was alone. When he gets home, he sees the soldiers beating his wife. Mykola tries to help her, but one of the soldiers stops him and hits him in the face. Mykola begged the soldiers not to beat his wife because she was pregnant, but they didn't care about what he said. And one of the soldiers burns down their house. Nastia was sad about her house and trying to hit the soldiers with stones, but they shot and killed her. Mykola was shocked that his wife had died, and he was crying hard over his wife's death. Minutes later, 2 Ukrainians come and were in the resistance against the occupying army, and they watch Mykola weeping for his wife. They helped him bury his wife. These 2 introduced themselves to Mykola, so Mykola decided to go with them. Then they arrive at the military camp. Mykola meets the military commander at the military camp, and he asks them to join them because he wants to kill those who occupied their country and also to take revenge for his wife. But the military commander was suspicious of Mykola and thought he was a spy. But Mykola insists on joining them and manages to convince the leader to join them. Already Mykola joined them, and he was training with soldiers. But he had difficulty with the exercises because he is a peaceful civilian person. But because of his anger, he decided to endure in order to avenge his wife's death. Mykola was trying to practice disassembling the weapon, but he finds it difficult to disassemble the weapon. Then a girl comes to him and helps him, and she teaches him to disassemble and reassemble the weapon. And at night Mykola performs harder exercises than the previous exercises. Mykola tells the officer that his name is now not Mykola, but the Black Crow. But the officer tells him that if he works hard in the training, he will be called the Black Crow. Days later, Mykola was diligent in training. He was pressing himself to learn more. And one day the commander was talking to the soldiers and telling them that they needed snipers in the front lines. Only 2 soldiers, including Mykola, volunteer. But the commander mocks him and tells him that he cannot dismantle his weapon in a short time, so how will he take the sniper, set the target and target the enemy? Mykola tells the commander to give him a chance to defuse the weapon in less than 20 seconds. The commander agrees and gives him a Kalashnikov. Mykola surprises everyone when he blindfolds him with a piece of cloth. He was able to dismantle the weapon within 18 seconds without looking at it. The soldiers and commanders were surprised at what Mykola did. They greet him and applaud him. This is the opposite of what was happening previously when they mocked him. Indeed, the commander agrees to join Mykola in his sniper battalion. But the commander gives a weak sniper weapon to Mykola, unlike the rest of the soldiers, who gave them an advanced sniper weapon. But Mykola tells the commander he wants an advanced sniper rifle like the rest. But the commander refuses and Mykola had no other choice but to use this weapon. Then the sniper test begins. The first test was to shoot next to the sniper, and the snipers had to not make any reaction. This is in order for them to be concentrated on the battlefield, if explosions or missiles fall near them. Most of the soldiers failed this test, except for Mykola, who did not give any reaction. After passing this test, he moves on to the second test. The second test was to shoot the target without looking at it. But Mykola fails because of his weak weapon. Mikola watched the soldiers take a math class for snipers. Mikola impresses the officer with his intelligence and knowledge in mathematics, because he was able to solve any mathematical equation faster than the rest of the soldiers. This was because he was a former mathematics teacher. Then he passes the sniping test and is ready to go to the battlefield. And then we see an officer named Corner. He gives a task to Mikola. His mission was for Mikola to go with snipers to a checkpoint for the occupying forces. And every sniper has his own target. And when they want to carry out the mission, they see a car with a Ukrainian family in it. The commander orders the snipers not to fire any bullets. After that, the occupying soldier stops the car and asks them for their passports. They give passports, but the soldier takes the passports and does not give them to them. The Ukrainian person was trying to retrieve their passports. However, the occupying soldier beats him and his wife. Then he shoots them. The commander, seeing their brutality, orders the snipers to shoot. Indeed, the snipers were able to shoot simultaneously and kill all the occupying soldiers. After their mission is over, the commander congratulates the soldiers for their success in the mission. When Mikola and the rest of the snipers return to the camp, they are surprised to send a sniper team on a special mission. Mikola watches one of the snipers brutally killed, and then the sniper squad is sent to a new mission. And Mikola was among the snipers. Their mission was to plant mines in the forest in order to ensure that the occupying soldiers did not reach them. The snipers hide and wait for the occupying soldiers to kill them. And indeed the occupying soldiers arrive. Mikola and the other snipers were just waiting for the right time to shoot them. Mikola is surprised by the student Ivan's presence with the occupying soldiers. He knows that Ivan has betrayed the country. One of the occupying soldiers presses on the mine, and the mine detonates, killing all the occupying soldiers, including Ivan. They succeed in their mission, but Mikola grieves for Ivan, despite his betrayal of his country. We see Mikola at the break with Officer Corner. Officer Corner gives his family's photo to Mikola for him to see. Mikola views his photos of Officer Corner's family. Officer Corner tells Mikola that his daughters don't know what his job is, and he told his wife not to tell them about the nature of his job. On the next day, the sniper battalion will be on the borders of an area that the occupying forces will invade. Mikola was at a location when suddenly he saw the person who killed his wife. He was angry and couldn't take it anymore. So he asks permission from Officer Corner to kill the person who killed his wife. But the officer does not agree, because if he kills the soldier, their location will be exposed. Mikola asks permission again, but the officer refuses too. But Mikola could not bear to see his wife's murderer, so he decided to shoot and kill him. Officer Corner was furious that Mikola had not followed orders. We know that there is a sniper from the occupying forces named Sayuri. Sayuri was one of the most skilled snipers of the occupying army. Sayuri was able to locate Officer Corner, so he managed to kill him. Mikola knows their whereabouts have been exposed. So Mikola pulled out the officer's body and protected himself through the corpse. But suddenly the missiles bombed the place. Mikola was trying to protect himself from the sniper and the rocket fire. He managed to escape and hide in a trench. Then Mikola returns to the military camp. He was blaming himself for causing Officer Corner's death. And Mikola decides to take revenge on the sniper Sayuri. Then Mikola goes on a mission and is alone. He is able to kill snipers from the enemy forces. However, he was injured in the hand and returned to the camp. In this scene comes a phone call to Mikola. The phone call is from the camp general. He tells him that they have obtained information about the sniper Sayuri. The general asks him to have Mikola come to his office to tell him the rest of the details. Mikola heads off to meet the general. When Mikola arrives, the general is meeting with the soldiers, and he gives them information about the sniper Sayuri. And he tells them that the sniper Sayuri is a person to be reckoned with. And he tells them that the sniper Sayuri managed to kill 5 snipers very quickly, without revealing his location. He tells them that Sayuri managed to kill 3 soldiers equipped with heavy weapons. And the soldiers were unable to fire any bullets, because they did not know the whereabouts of the sniper Sayuri. The general had little information about the presence of the sniper Sayuri. And he tells them that Sayuri never changes his place. One of the soldiers gives an idea to the general and tells him to plant mines where Sayuri is. But the general rejects this idea. He tells them that Sayuri is not stupid enough to let the mines be planted without killing them. And the general asks Mikola to explain the danger of this sniper to the soldiers, because Mikola is the only person who was able to confront this sniper. Mikola starts talking and says that there is a chlorine factory near where the sniper Sayuri is. And he knew that the sniper Sayuri was in this place because the bullets were coming from the direction of this place. And he tells them that the idea of planting mines will be a great disaster if they do it because a large number of soldiers will be killed. Then they make a plan, and the general distributes the snipers' positions. The plan was to kill all the soldiers present in the area, so that the sniper Sayuri remains alone. And Mikola has to stay on a high place, and then he will go down to Sayuri and kill him. And indeed the plan begins. Each sniper takes his position. Mikola sneaks into the soldiers and kills 2 of them. Then he climbs to a high place and informs the leader that he is in a high place. The remaining snipers are ready to shoot the occupying soldiers, and they manage to kill all the soldiers at the same time. Sayuri stays with a sniper. Sayuri goes out to see what happened. Sayuri finds one of the snipers dead. He feels that there is danger in the area, and Sayuri calls for support, but they tell him that support will arrive in 10 minutes. Sayuri returns to his place in order to secure the area. But Mikola jumps on him from a high place and kills Sayuri with a knife. The second sniper is killed by a bomb. 10 minutes later, support arrives. The commander was trying to communicate with Sayuri, but it was Mikola who spoke to him and told them that he would kill them all. Mikola manages to shoot the leader, killing him. When the soldiers of the occupiers arrived, the Ukrainian snipers killed them all. After Mikola was able to kill the people who killed his wife and who killed Officer Corner, he goes to his wife's grave. He was saddened by her separation and the separation of his son who was killed in his mother's womb, but he managed to take revenge for them.